Welcome to Base Touring with Dacy. Want to do some shopping? There's no better place than the Paragon Galleria, with its wide variety of stores and great detail. You just have to see the funny names of some of these stores and the clever fonts that the builder Pshaw uses in places. This mall build really nails the mall experience. As you can see from this map, the mall is designed like so many malls are, as essentially a large enclosed rectangle. But enough of this boring map. That doesn't show you the good stuff, so let's take a look. You'll enter this base facing a door, where writing on the floor reminds you to set your vis scale to at least 2. You can also set it higher, but 2 will work. As we turn around, we see Cass's Candies. I do love the NPC here, clearly on a sugar high. This kind of takes me back to the neighborhood candy store, where you go in and pick out the pieces you want. Across the way, another sweet treat stop, Fat Cat's Express. Here you will find cookies, assorted baked goods, and some of the drinks that go well with cookies. So far, this mall is one sweet trip. Up here is the entry center court fountains, and just before that is an information kiosk. I think this is a great usage of the space item. Looking back at the entrance, I just want to point out this ceiling. Now, piece count really prohibits continuing this pattern throughout the mall, but this section just looks so cool. Each of these rectangles is a piece, and the floor is also made of pieces laid individually in a herringbone pattern. Strong start for the mall here. Now, looking around at the fountain, it's also nicely set up, with the statues reminding us just what city we are in. There are several stores off of the center. Straight ahead is the computer store Maple. Doesn't quite sound like Apple, but you get the inference, especially with the Genius bar at the back. It also is set up very much like an Apple store. We're going to be heading west and just go clockwise around the mall. We will start at Mall Ninja and work our way to the corner of the blue stores. Then we'll come back up to the bookstore and continue on through the stores I've colored burgundy on the map. The Mall Ninja is your place for complete weapon outfitting. Maybe it's not a typical mall store, but this is Paragon City. Besides a great selection of weapons, the Mall Ninja has a target practice room and a shooting range, so you can make sure that the weapon you've chosen is a good fit for you. Next door is Kinetic Comics. I personally love the personality that Pshaw has given the lettering here. The store itself is great and very recognizable as a comic store. Although there are several shoe stores in the mall, you will find that they are all like this one, a storefront. Sadly, there are no shoes in the editor, or even things that could be made to look like shoes. New Shoes, though, is named for an 80s band. The last store on this side is Ultra. If you're familiar with the makeup store Ulta, you'll already have a pretty good idea what Ultra is going to be, and the similarity of the font is another big clue, that this is a makeup store. I think Pshaw did a good job stocking the shelves in here. And now back to Center Court so we can do the other side. This is the bookstore SSI Books. I like the suggested book table here in the front, which stands out nicely. As you look around, you might notice that there's something a little different about that shelf in the back. And going back there, you will find that it's actually a passageway to an arcane room behind the books. Very clever. It does pay to keep your eyes sharp in this mall. There are 2 other secret rooms, and one of those leads to another secret room. But I'm not going to give away just where any of that is. Just pay attention. Next door to SSI Books, you will find Wine Cellar, another cleverly named store. Wine Cellar is, of course, a wine store, with a simple but appropriate decor. And now we've reached the food court. What a great collection of mall food stores. We start with Walk Up, and I think this one is well done. It's a good representation of an Asian food stall. Then we have Pie in the Sky, a clever name for the obligatory pizza restaurant. Next, Up and Away Burger, a nod to the in-game fast food place we see in some zones. Here we have Chicken Little. So there's your fried chicken joint. And Which, a play on the restaurant name Which. But this is Paragon City, so bringing in the arcane completely tracks. Turning the corner, we have El Super Mexicano, another restaurant featured in-game, which is right next to The Juice is Loose. That's a nod to Orange Julius. Then Doggone, and I'm not sure why that's not a real restaurant name. That's a great name for a hot dog place. Then we have Flying Fish. I give Flying Fish extra points for decor. And you know it's fresh fish. Check out the guy in the back. On to Jet Cream Ice Cream. Love that ice cream cone sign. Notice the details here, like the different levels of the ice cream. The chocolate, caramel, and strawberry topping containers. The buckets for rinsing the ice cream scoops. And the stone countertops for mixing the ice cream flavors. Very nicely done. And finally, a restaurant nod to the perennial favorite, the Cheesecake Factory, only this is the Cheesesteak Factory. Just 3 more stores will finish out the burgundy-colored block on the map. Tariq is the corner store here, a magic emporium, obviously offering things of interest to the arcane crowd. Clearly not a typical mall store, but completely believable in Paragon City. Next would be C's Chocolates, which is a play on the West Coast franchise name, but it certainly sounds like grab the chocolate. It's also funny to me because if you ever worked with chocolate, you know that it can seize up. Spelled differently, said the same way. Finally, the last of this block is Needles. I love the font used here. Just look at these tattoo designs displayed on the wall. Very cool. Definitely getting a tattoo parlor vibe from this place. Now we're going to look at the stores in the center block along this side. So back next to Ultra we'll find Jed's Threads. This is a shop for cowboy clothes. Next to that, the gaming and computer store, Arachnosware. You might notice that some of the NPCs manning stores are functional. This is actually a fully functional base, with everything from teleporters to storage and NPCs inside, all cleverly blending in with non-functional items. Here's something you won't find in the average mall. This unique display showcases some of the many RP clubs on the everlasting scene. There's Black Friday, After Hours, Joker's Wild, Oasis, Black Cat, and the Storm Cage. Past club scene, you'll find the Magic Eye Poster Store. Some of these stores may just be storefronts, but I still love the clever idea behind them. The final store on this side of the block is the aptly named Darling and Darling Bridal. Now, don't you think this is the perfect name for a bridal store? But it's also named after in-game friends Claire and Dallas Darling. Darling Bridal features clothing selections for the bride and bridal party, with a private area for finding that perfect dress. Now we're going to cover the light green section of the mall, starting back at the Zoe Zone and finishing with the Hero Bank. The Zoe Zone is an upscale restaurant that is named after another friend. Quite a few stores here are named for friends or were put in at the request of friends. Through the door you will find an intimate dining experience complete with a fountain and a chandelier. Next door is the Bird's Nest. I love the colors of this eclectic gift shop. And here we have Rebel Mel Candles, a play on Rebel Yell, of course, but also named after another friend. Next to Rebel Mel Candles is the storefront for Wheelbarrow, a name reminiscent of Crate and Barrel. On to Pretzel Heart. People seem to love pretzels. I love the Pretzel Heart logo. It's very cleverly done. Finishing up this corner of the light green section is Deluxe Maternity. It's right across from Darling and Darling Bridal next to the spa, and I don't think that's by accident. Let's visit the spa and see just what sorts of pampering we could get here. So here's reception, and facilities for men and for women to change and clean up. It's a typical changing room, nicely done. The sides are fairly comparable, with both sides having accommodations for huge characters. But there are more lockers, seating, and showers for the women than for men, which makes sense because more women are going to use the spa than men. The archway behind the reception desks leads to a hallway. On either end of the hallway you can see the changing room exits and the entrances to the mani-pedi room. The mani-pedi room holds quite a few stations to be able to cater to several customers at once. From the mani-pedi room, you can go straight back to the couple's massage. If you go and exit on the left from the mani-pedi room, you'll find the restrooms on the left, a hot tub on the right, and then a mud bath, and then back on the left, here's a couple's bathroom, and the saunas at the end of the hall. If you go through the mani-pedi room to the right, you'll find 2 massage rooms. After you're done and you've changed back into your street clothes, simply exit back into reception, pay for the services, and you're on your way. Now let's finish up the last of the light green section. Here's COH Cell, a reference to a friend's character, Lo Puma. Next to that, Notions and Potions, probably not quite as mundane as Bath and Body Works. One more quick storefront for the optical store, Eyes Have It, another clever store name. And now we arrive at the Longbow Recruitment Center. You too could be on the front lines in the fight against Arachnos and the Ritki. Protect the Faultline Dam from the various factions that want to blow it up. Check out the dystopian recluse's victory. Join now!
Must be 18 or older to enlist. Some restrictions apply. Survival not guaranteed.
Pressing on, we are at the store Adobe Designs. Once again, I marvel at the effort the builder has put in to make each store thematic, recognizable, and unique. Nice work! The last store in this section is Hero Bank. Definitely what a bank would be named in Paragon City. And it's even full service. Now we're on to the next section. We are here at the bank, and I'll move down here next to the jewelry kiosk. We'll then visit the stores until we get to the end of this side of the blue block. Here we are next to the jewelry kiosk. And behind us is the art store. Framed. Just a nice place for selling framed art. And here is Good Earth, a vitamin store. Next, Antech, a tech store. Not exactly sure what it sells, but a player asked for its inclusion, and Pshaw obliged. The car dealership Tesla Atomic. I love this name, another tribute to a friend. And here is Game Start, clever takeoff of Game Stop. Again, just a storefront, but I appreciate the creativity and the design. And this is AE, a virtual reality store. AE, of course, is a name taken from the game Architect Entertainment, where players can create their own stories and missions. Now, you cannot access AE from inside a base. This has access to flashback missions instead, but a place to experience virtual reality would be a cool store in a mall. If you like building your own realities, check out the Plego store, which is a takeoff of Lego. Yes, it's a storefront, but just use your imagination. And finally, the corner store is Black Tie, the place to outfit your groomsmen, or get suited up for that special occasion. It's just on the end of the row from the other corner store, Darling and Darling Bridal. Now on to the section I've colored orange. We'll start up at the Beefcake Factory and come all the way down to the management office. This is a Beefcake Factory. I love that name. This is where you go to work off all the weight you put on at the cheesesteak factory. And we have a full-service mall here. It even has a clinic. Around the corner, probably making the place smell fabulous, is the Cookie Nook. And now I want a cookie. Next to the Cookie Nook is Flan's, named for another friend, but also it calls to mind Flynn's, the arcade from the movie Tron. The interior of Flan's is nice and dark, making the lights from the games all the more attractive. We have shooting games. Here's a driving game. Video games. And Dance Dance Revolution, very recognizable. There's also basketball and skee-ball and air hockey. And of course, prizes to be earned from the tickets. And here's Jungle Cafe. The Jungle Cafe is a take on the Rainforest Cafe. If you never visited one, well, I think you're missing out. It's a bit like walking into a jungle with wild animals, or at least the animatronic version of wild animals, populating the restaurant. Take a bit of extra time here to examine the details. I don't think any mall is complete without a Cineplex, and this one's very nice looking. Here's the ticket window where you can buy your tickets. Inside, of course, you have snacks and the video games that are always in theater lobbies. Theater 3 is open if you're looking for where your favorite movie might be playing. You can enter it from either side. This is a comfortable looking theater. Next to Flicks, you'll find Brick House, a storefront for a home goods store. And here's Forever Young, a takeoff of the clothing store 21. Note that the clothing racks are different here. Details like this help make each store unique. Around the corner you'll find Elf's Pets, another storefront, and then the management office. In the management office you'll see customer service. Why is no one in customer service? To the right, security. Well, cameras. Over here is first aid. And in the back, the manager's office. And that finishes the orange section. From here, we're going to finish up the central blue section, starting back next to Black Tie and working our way down to the corner, and then around the corner to hit the last two stores of the blue block, finishing at Icon. So first, after Black Tie, is Jamboree Kids, which is obviously a takeoff of the children's clothing store Jamboree Kids. Next door to that, Portal Express. I do really love the homage paid to the game in the store name design. This store has functional teleports, but as far as having a real-world counterpart, it's not one easy to categorize. This is a store that is unique to Paragon City. Shoebox, another storefront. Now maybe you think that the builder should have put in more entire stores instead of storefronts, but you know what? I marvel when I look at this mall what it took just to come up with all of these stores. For such a huge mall, and to make each one unique. Here's a nice store, Domus Home Furnishings. Domus, short for domicile, meaning home. I like the groupings here. It really feels just like a real furniture store. Back out in the mall, here's Tres Amigos. I am pretty sure that that's an actual Mexican restaurant somewhere, but shh, they'll never know that they're getting free advertising. Work boots. This might be my favorite store sign, although there are at least a couple of others in strong contention, but I just love this. Again, props for creativity. Last on this row is the store with what is definitely my favorite name here, Florist Clump. What can I say? That's my sense of humor. And it's nicely done. Now I'm going around the corner to Pink Heart Perfume, a store honoring a family member. It's nice that these arcane invention storage units all have these handy bottles on top. You get to make use of a storage item without having to hide it, and it saves you from having to place lots of flasks. Finally, we come to Icon. It uses NPCs as mannequins in the window. Unsurprisingly, Icon is staffed by Icon tailors for costume changes. Each of the 3 dressing rooms also has a tailor hidden behind each mirror. When you see the blue hand instead of the cursor, you know you can click on something to interact. Now we're looking at the last section we haven't yet seen, the darker green one. We'll be starting with Blue Star robots and then coming down and then over, finishing at, fittingly, Pshaw's jewelry. So here's Blue Star robots. Custom robots made to your specifications. Definitely not your average mall store, but then again, this is Paragon City. The store was added in honor of a family member. Here's a hair salon, a cut above. I have to say, this really looks a lot like a hair salon. Around the corner, the storefront Potter Shed, and that's a takeoff of Pottery Barn, of course, more home goods. Next is Ray Records. I really like this store. I like how the bookcases are used as the bins. I like the images being used to identify musical genres. And overall, I just like the look of the store. Just outside of Ray Records is this Oasis Resort advertisement. I wanted to point this out because this is a mosaic, and it's quite a lot of effort, and very well done. Now we come to Pompeii. I just love the signage and the statue out front, and how the ruins theme is carried out through the flooring and the sign. This is another of my favorites. Turning the corner, we have Sweatshop, where the decor really lives up to the store name. I think it sells athletic clothing or maybe work clothes. Next, Knick-Knack, just a storefront for a little gift shop. And Oasis Travel, book that perfect vacation. Again, you see the creative touches to give each store a unique feel, and so you know what the store does. Our last stop in the mall, nearly back where we started, is Pshaw's Jewelry, which is named after the builder's character. I like the decorative touches in here. Store design checks out, very much like the jewelry stores I've visited. I hope you've enjoyed our tour, and feel free to come visit yourself. It's the Paragon Galleria on Everlasting, base code shopping 13668. And have fun shopping!